moderator as we start the webinar.
Okay. All right. So again, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. I am Nur Asni Syahriza binti Abu Hassan, the moderator for our webinar session today. So I would like to first thank all of you for spending some time in your busy schedule to attend our session today on Voice of the Soul collection of short poems. But before we get into the content of the webinar, let us get to know our speaker for today, Puan Sharina Saad. So Puan Sharina Saad is currently a senior lecturer at UiTM Kedah, and she has a creative hobby which is poetry writing. She has published hundreds of her poems in many poetry groups and websites. She has her poetry book called From the Heart, The Colors of Love, and she is a famous poet in a website called Hello Poetry. So in 2021, she won the second place in poetry competition about online distance learning and an award for the best poetry script for a poetry recitation at Arau Poetry Festival. She loves to encourage her students to write and recite poems as it helps them to improve their vocabulary, pronunciation, gain confidence, and to have fun in English language class. And she does not believe that every poem should rhyme, so she prefers the free verse poems. She loves writing and sharing her writes with the world. Now, there is a poem about Puan Sharina written by another poet. Okay, I'm trying my best to recite it in the best way possible. Okay, here it goes. Sharina is short with cute little dimple. Her smile turns towards me like sunlight in song. All that I am fades into thin air, reduced to a breath by the fact that she's there. Incandescent, a flame for which angels might long, no one need tell me my rescue is simple. As I hold my tongue for fear, I am wrong. So that's the poem. Okay. Now, if you are interested in writing poems just like the one I just recited about Puan Sharina, or just about anything, I'm very happy to share with you that we intend to publish collected poems in a poetry book, which can be registered in Prime under creative writing in my ATP. So that's a chance for all of us. And I will share the link for poem submission towards the end of the session later. So I think let's not waste any more time. Let us invite Puan Sharina for the session today. Take it away, Puan Sharina, and good luck.
Okay, thank you, Madam Moderator, Puan Asni. Thank you for reciting the poem. Actually, that poem has been written by my fellow poet. Okay, and uh, he always liked to comment that I am short, but I am cute. But I think that was during the old days. Okay, now I am still very short, but no longer cute anymore, I think. But I just would like to share with you that actually writing poem is my hobby. I started it as a hobby, my favorite pastime. Okay, all right. So first of all, I would like to thank. Okay, I will not forget to thank ILD and APB, especially my boss, Encik Azlan Abdul Rahman, for this opportunity to share my poems with all of you. And also thank you for all the lecturers who are here today, who are here with me in this webinar. Okay, I am glad that you can make your time to be here. And I think most of you are poetry lovers. May I know the reason why you're here? Whether you want to, you are poetry lovers, or you want to publish your poetry, or you are curious to know about poetry. Maybe you can write your comment in the chat box. I would like to know my audience. When I look at your big names here, we have Professor Madhya, my former rector is also here in the audience. And we have professors, doctors here. I have butterflies in my stomach, and I hope that these butterflies will go away as I go along with you during the session. Okay, so thank you for joining. I feel very appreciated because I think previously I think that poetry writing is not a serious writing and people will not appreciate it. But I think I'm wrong because I can see that there are many people today in the audience, and I think most of you are here because you also enjoy poetry writing. Okay, so thank you once again for coming. So today's session is not about academic writing. So we can forget about academic writing for a while. So this is a creative writing. Okay, this is a creative writing, and I promise you that it is going to be heavy. It's going to be very light and easy session. So we can relax a bit in between our hectic schedule as a lecturer. Okay, and during the session, I'll be sharing poems that I have written and published. I have a book of poetry, and I also publish my poems in several websites previously. So as I go along, I will share some of the poetries that I have published previously. Okay, and I will also like to encourage you to write poetry as your hobby or favorite pastime. So we will have some poetry writing practice afterwards, and I hope you will participate. You will enjoy it. Okay, and as mentioned by the moderator, we have a mission of publishing all the poems that we will collect after this webinar. And I hope that it will be a reality that we will publish one poetry book after the webinar, and the poetry book will be entitled Voice of the Soul Collection of Short Poems. Okay, so I hope that you will contribute your poems after the session. So in this webinar, we can interact with one another. So please don't be shy. If you have ideas, please share with all of us. Okay, so this is more like a sharing session. Yeah, I am not uh, a professor in poem. I am just a small writer. Okay, so let me share my slide with you. Is my slide visible, Asni?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so welcome once again to Voice of the Soul collection of short poems. Okay, so I am Sharina Saad. I am a lecturer, but I also love to write poetries. Okay, so let us start with a smile. Okay, I would like to see your smile. So everybody, when you look at this slide, and this is actually one of the earliest poem that I have written. Okay, so when you look at this poem and read it, I hope you will smile, because when I first started to write a poetry, I believed that poetry should rhyme, and I believe that there is a rule in poetry. So I was trying very hard to write a poetry that rhymes. Okay, can I invite someone from the audience to recite this poetry? Would you like to volunteer to read this poetry? Puan Asni, can you help me with this? Can you invite someone to write this poetry? So
Uh,
I have
Partner Zidiana.
Oh yeah, can I have a try?
yeah.
I really love
Asni,
this
can you
actually.
please read this poetry? The
And
poetry
Hi,
Sharina,
title is Smile.
Kaji.
hi,
Hi, hi.
Asni. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
Norzi from Jinka.
Okay.
Okay, let me have a try. Yeah, I have not done this for so many years actually.
Okay, you can do it today.
Okay,
Okay, let's
yeah, okay.
enjoy it.
Smile, Sharina, 2012. The smile I give will remove your frown. Mother Nature returns in her newest gown. Life is full of sun to surround your woes. Take in the sun as the season grows. Nothing in life will cause you harm. If you garner yourself with life balm, remember this: when you feel down, you are the one who wears the crown.
Okay, bravo. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you so much for reciting this poem. So this is among the earliest poem that I've written, and I believe that it should rhyme. And then later I found out that poets always break the rules. They can also write free verse poems. Okay. So as I was preparing this for this webinar, and I searched in my handphone gallery, and I found this handsome picture of my husband while we were holidaying in Penang. Okay, so I wrote this and I sent him this poem. Okay, so let me read this poem because this is for my husband. Okay, so this is a free verse poem. Okay, not the poem that rhyme. Okay, oh dear, my handsome soldier, my knight in shining armor, would do everything and would never give up any fights and would willing to give me more. My brave knight would never leave my sight, would do everything to make me glad. He will always stand strong, even when everything has gone wrong. Oh, I'm proud that he is my knight in shining armor. After I have finished writing this poem, I sent it to my husband, and he was actually uh, listening to a tazkirah from Ustad. And then he replied, Masya Allah. So, when you can write a poem for no specific reason, just to make someone happy, or you can write for the people that you love, or the people, your friend, your family members, or anybody that you like, okay, and make them feel happy. Okay, for example, like all of a sudden you receive a poem from a friend, and when you read the poem, of course, you will smile, and that will make your day. Okay, so I believe that some people ask me, why do you write poems? So I think it is for pleasure, and you can also make someone smile when reading your poem. Okay, so may I ask you, have you ever written something about your husband or about your wife, your spouse? Have you?
I
Answer.
do.
Yeah, okay. And what do you
Hi,
do with that
Puan.
poem? Did you send the poem to your spouse?
No, not
Uh-huh,
spouse.
okay.
This was written
So,
when I was in college, so I was not married at that time.
oh,
But it
okay.
was still somewhere hidden in my closet at my parents' home.
Okay. So now, today, after listening to me, I hope that all those poems that you have written and you hide them in the closet or you hide them in your book, please take them out and publish it, okay? And try to share it with the world. All right. Okay,
Puan, if
now,
I may ask one,
yeah.
I'm Asia from APB Kelantan.
Oh, yes, Asia.
Um, it's
Yeah.
if you were talking about publishing poems as if it's so easy and it's so well recognized by the publisher to actually choose your work to publish, how do you make it publish? I mean the process, is it tedious? Does it require you to have certain years of experience writing it?
Okay, Asia, I will come to that. Okay.
Okay, okay, right.
You asked the question too early. I will come.
Oh, okay, sorry about
No,
that.
never mind. I will answer it later. Okay, when I talk about publishing the poem. Okay, right? Is that okay, Asia?
Yes, 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 please go ahead.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
So, on
sorry.
serious notes, okay, as it mentioned in the promotion of this webinar, language expresses feelings and emotions. Okay, so actually, I am the type of person who doesn't like to argue with someone. I don't have words to argue with someone. But I always like to feel strongly about something. Okay, so sometimes you have this emotion, and you think that your emotion is going to explode. You feel like exploding, but you don't want to argue. Tak suka gaduh. You don't like to argue. So I am the type of person who tak suka gaduh. I don't like to argue. So how do I express my emotions and feelings? I put them in words and I write my poetry. But I always try to write in a positive way instead of writing in a negative way. Okay, so here, what I have written here. When we are feeling overwhelmed, when you are feeling overwhelmed by sorrow, maybe you are saddened by something, saddened by a death of losing someone, a death of a best friend, maybe. So maybe you can express that feelings in a form of poetry. I remember I was so sad when my brother passed away in 2015. Okay, no words could describe my feelings at that time. So I wrote a poem because I took care of my brother in the ICU. Okay, so I wrote a very sad poem about him, and then I shared it in my poetry group. Okay, and then many people tried to console me. So when you read feedback from other fellow poets, and they console you, so you would feel better. So that's why I said when you write poems, sometimes when you feel like you want to be angry with someone, but then you don't go and shout at the person, but you write it on a piece of paper, you will feel better. And instead, you will feel better because you don't argue with that person. Instead, you have written one superb poem about your feelings. Okay, some people, they express their feelings through painting, through music, but I express my feeling always through writing. Okay, so always when I'm mad at somebody, I write it. Okay, I write. Or when I'm happy, I also write something. So it can be a poem about my happiness, can be poem about my sadness. Okay, so poem is one of the way to convey your thoughts beautifully. Okay, but the problem is, okay, some people will say, Kak Sherry, tak apalah, you APB, you can write in English beautifully, but we are not from APB. But actually, if you try to write and practice to write and try to, you can always look at the dictionary or thesaurus to help you to write beautifully. But you can start small. Okay, so afterward, I will share with you how to start small. Okay, so people who write poems are artistic in nature. They pour their musings through words and create magic. And I always tell my students when I encourage them to write, or when I encourage my friends to write, you know, your words are actually can create magic. It may not be magical to other people, but it can be magic to you. Okay, so ultimately, the poem is a beautiful art piece through words. So we actually communicate through words. For example, I have written poems about my husband, my eldest, my second, my youngest, my family members. Okay, those are my feelings, my genuine feelings, my pure feelings toward them. And when I wrote, I shared it with them. And they keep my poems as a reminder that Mama loved them. Okay, so you can do that. Okay, so I would like to have a moment of silence. We are already silent, right? So silence your mind and listen. Let the voice of your soul echo and shine. So I would like to share with you one of my poems. Actually, I have forgotten when I wrote this, but one of my students last semester, she found this poem on the internet and she recited it and sent it to me. Okay, so I would like to share it with you. The poem title is I Wish I Want More Wishes. Okay,
I wish I were more wishes. I ask myself.
Asni, is it audible? Can you hear it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, I will play it once again.
I wish I were more wishes. I ask myself the question of why. What do I want? What is my wish? I am almost out of words to think of my wants, to escape to let my wishes, reviewing my too many wishes, putting them together into view. My tantrums tight, my head drops, too many ones, too much headed this year, but surprisingly, I wish I have more wishes to come. After the review of the too many wishes and too many wants, make my wishes and my wants together and view. I am almost out of wishes to talk about my wants and wishes. Listen to the words there. I wish I were more wishes. But let's start with my first wish. A happy birthday wish to myself.
Okay, I remember I wrote this poem when my children were asking me, Mama, nak hadiah apa for your birthday? So uh, I was asking for a lot of things, but then in the end, I thought a birthday wish would be enough. Okay, don't you think so? So my student here, the name is Imanina. Her name is Imanina. She loves poetry, and then when she discovered that I write a lot of poems, she always liked to read my poem, recite, and then uploaded it to YouTube. And then she said, "Madam, if you have new poem, please let me know." Okay, so actually, when you are a lecturer and you write something creative like this and you share it with your students, actually it can also inspire them, especially when you are APB lecturers, right? You want your students uh, to be creative with words. So language is not the subject that you learn in the classroom, but you can use language to express yourself, to be creative with it, and you can actually share it with other people. So I always tell my students that don't think small about your simple writing. Okay, so send it to me. I can make it beautiful. We beautify it together, and then it can be a good poem. Okay, so this Imanina girl is my fan actually. All right. So I love this quotation. Okay, this quotation says, "Listen to your own voice, to your own soul. Too many people listen to the noise of the world but neglect the voice within themselves." Okay, so you must have your own belief or your own voice. Okay, and then you may not have channels to talk about it because you are not maybe you are just a lecturer like me. Okay, for example, I'm just a lecturer like me, so who will listen to me? Okay, I'm not a professor, I'm not associate professor, but with words that I have, or with the ideas that I have in my mind and the words that I have in myself, actually I can share it to the world. Okay, so that's why I always tell myself, do believe in yourself. So believe in the words that you have written on a piece of paper. Believe in the power of words. So that's what I'm going to encourage you today. If you have been hiding your poetry, today is the time for you to show it to the world and shine. Okay, so I have a few questions to you, and you have to answer these questions honestly. Okay, first, do you ever write poetry? Please answer it. Do you ever write poetry? You can answer it live, or if you are shy, you can write it in the chat box. Puan Asni will be reading your answer later. Okay, do you ever write poetry? That is the first question. Please answer this, please.
Anyone? But in the chat box, we have from Azrin Abdullah, Muhammad Sharul, no. Puan Asia, yes, no. Yes, but in Bahasa.
I wasn't really sure whether mine is called poetry. So it's more like what I feel inside and I pour it out. So when I shot sendiri, I call it a poem. When I
Mhm.
came to reality, I was like, does it deserve to be
It, it,
called a
it doesn't
poem?
matter. It doesn't matter whether it is short sendiri or not. Okay, I have a slide which covers your insecurity about your poem because
Insecurity.
yeah, you feel insecure because you don't know whether it's a poem or not, right?
Yeah,
Because
you make my day,
I
Puan.
will share with you one of my slides is going to ask you how to know whether it is a poem or not. Okay, so
Cool. Looking
yeah,
forward to that.
yes. Okay, I think whatever that you write from your heart, you can call it a poem because you are the original writer to that uh, prose or to that writings of yours. Okay, so you can proudly say that it is a poem. You don't share it with people who don't speak the same language. You share it with people who appreciate it. Okay, so if you feel like you don't know whether it is a poem or not, try to find a poetry group. Okay, there are many poetry group in Facebook. Find a good one. Okay, share it there and look at the feedback that you will get. Then you know that your words are poem or not. Okay, All right, Asni, do you have other answers?
Most of them no.
Okay.
Professor Madia Jasman Jaafar, yes, but not recently because it's not sure of the format that governs the poem.
Okay, all right. So I think it is very people like us, lecturers who always like in academic writing, we always submit our journal to to be in the academic journal. We are always scared whether it is the right format or not. But I just want to tell you that a poem, try to, if you are going to write a poem as a beginner, try not to be scared of the format. Okay, there are formats of a poem. Okay, but don't be scared of that. Be a free verse poet. I would like to encourage you to write free verse, so there is no specific format. Nowadays, the modern poets prefer free verse, so that they want to write freely. Not the traditional poets. Yes, of course, they follow certain formats. They have to be rhyme. They should be uh, how many syllables as the first line, the second line should have 7 syllables, the third line should have 5 syllables. They adhere to that certain format. That is traditional, but I am encouraging you to be modern poets. Okay, so you can just express your feelings, but afterwards I will also share with you, even though you want to express your words or the words in your mind or the words from your soul, but you also have to be clever in writing those words. Okay, we will come to that. Okay, so second question, which poems and poets are your favorites? Okay, have you ever liked any poem, or have you ever liked any poets? Okay, so can you share that?
We have from Puan Asia again,
Yeah.
Wordsworth, Daffodils. I'm not sure
Hmm.
what that is.
Rambut Frost. Rambut Frost.
Okay.
Roads not taken.
Okay, and we have a question, Puan Sharina, if
Yes, yes,
you.
yes.
Okay, may I know which poem group recommended by Puan Sharina, or may I join Puan Sharina's poem group by
Sure. Okay, I will share some poem groups that I joined, and you can also join my poetry group later. Okay, I also have a Facebook group called Magical Words of Poetry. You can join that group to learn about poetry. Okay, so yeah, I think those who are from APB, who teach English, I think you are familiar with Robert Frost, Emily Bronte. You are familiar with all these writers, yeah, who like beautiful poems. Okay, and maybe you also like some of the poems written by them. Okay, but do you know that we also have local poets? Okay, local one like A. Samad Said, Osman Awang, Zorina Hassan. Okay, so these are our local poets who also write beautifully. Okay, and I also came to know some Singaporean and also Indian. The Indian people, they appreciate poems more than Malaysian people. Now, I don't know why. Maybe we can do a study on this. Why do Indian people love poems and not the Malay people? Okay, maybe we can have a study about this. Okay, now the next question, how would you answer the question? Okay, what is poetry? In your understanding, what is poetry? As someone who never learned about how to write a poetry, or someone who never studied poetry before, what is your understanding of what is poetry? Is
Okay,
there
so for
any
the answer,
no answer?
maybe if I can try, maybe for me, poetry is creatively organized words to express your feelings.
Okay, very good, Asni. Creatively organized words to express your feelings. Okay, all right. So, thank you for sharing your thoughts and ideas by leaving a comment or by
An
answering.
expression of feelings.
Okay, so now we will move to what is poetry. Okay, so I have some definition of poetry by our fellow poets, okay, or by famous people in the poetry world, okay. So Mina Loy, she said that poetry is prose bewitched, a music made of visual thoughts, the sound of an idea. So actually, if you read a good poetry, you can actually hear the sound in your mind, and you can actually see it in front of your eyes, the visual that explain in the poetry. Have you ever experienced reading a poetry that you can visualize the poem, what the poet has described in the poem? You can actually visualize it. No? Yes?
Yes, Muhammad Sharul Hisham said.
Muhammad Syarul Hisham. Okay, can you share which poetry is that?
Hello,
Wrote,
everyone.
wrote that.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
yes.
All right.
Yes.
Actually, I'm from UiTM Kelantan, College of Creative Art.
Wow.
Wow,
Department of
wow.
Fine Art. I'm not a poetry. I don't really. I like it. I read it a lot, and I use it as a inspirational
You
in
use it.
terms of doing an artwork. So
Yeah.
when I saw it, sometimes the words will clarify certain object. An object has its own intention of life, living, and experience. So for me, when when uh, when uh, when we read something, it's actually give our inspiration to visualize certain
Mhm.
words. So this is my comment on that.
Okay, thank you for your insight about this. Okay, yes, I truly believe whatever that you have said just now, because I remember, okay, I had a class of art and design students. I love it when I was given art and design students, because when I shared my poetry in the class and I asked them to visualize it, they came out with a lot of with fantastic, unique visualization of the poem. And of course, interpretation of the poem that I've given them from one individual to another is different. Okay, some visualize it as a garden, some visualize it as just a flower, but another student would visualize this poem as a woman who is as beautiful as a flower. Okay. So when I shared my poem in a class with art and design students, AD students, of course, they would give a lot of visualizations and unique one compared to other faculty. But uh, I always share with my students the short poems that I've written. I didn't share long ones because I'm afraid that they might find it difficult uh, to analyze it, or difficult to visualize it, or difficult to translate it. So I give them short one and ask them to, sometimes I ask them, we discuss about the issue in the poem. Okay, in other classes, I ask them to discuss about the issue of that poem. And in AD class, I always ask them to draw. Okay, what you read, you have to draw it. Okay, so thank you for sharing. Yeah, AD students are very creative, and I love to share these creative writings of mine with them. Okay, so let's look at Robert Frost. Robert Frost is one of the renowned poet. Okay, he said that poetry is when an emotion has found its thoughts, and the thought has found words. Okay, so you have all this inside of you, so let them out. So how to let them out? You let them out with words. Okay, so poetry is the rhythmical creation of beauty in words. Okay, so this is by Edgar Allan Poe, one of the famous poet. So there is some magic in poetry. I always believe that there is some magic in poetry. Okay, when your emotions find thoughts, and when the thoughts find words, a melancholic rhythm of words forms, and we call it poetry. Okay, so if you ever wonder that what you have written is a poetry or not poetry, so when you read it over and over again, do you find beauty in the words that you have written? Okay, this is my question again. For those who have written and you wonder whether it is a poetry or not poetry, I don't know. Okay, so Try to read it again and again and find out whether it is melancholic or not. You feel, is there a rhythm in it? Or is it beautiful? Question, thing.
I got my answer.
Yeah. Yeah. You got your answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like to share with
It's
us?
it's kind of
Come
embarrassing.
on, share with us.
The inclination is towards poem. Yeah, it's kind of melancholic because it's more on what I felt at that time, the
Yeah.
emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess I'm like a partial poet now.
All right. Okay, that's good news. All right. Bravo, bravo. Okay. Now, people write poetry because they are more close to human behavior. Okay, nature and everything close to beauty. Okay, for example, if you sit by the beach, you are sitting by the beach. Okay, so you want to feel close with the nature. Okay, you don't tell, hey nature, I'm coming to you. No, you put it in words. Okay. Okay, maybe you want to write something about the beach, or maybe you want to write something about the sea, maybe you want to write something about, only in poems you can see the trees can bow. Okay, so people will think logically mana boleh pokok tunduk, but in poems or in stories, in novels only, you can see trees that can bow. Okay, so the trees bow in solemn because you feel sad. So the trees also bow. They also feel sad for you. Okay, so you feel close with the nature. Maybe you sit by the beach, or maybe you sit somewhere at a beautiful place. You can be creative. I always do this. Okay, I remember during the holidays that I had with my family, whenever whenever I was at a beautiful place somewhere. So when I had some ideas, I will always scribble it. Dulu, in the olden days, I have pen and a notebook in my bag. Okay, and then I would scribble it, quickly scribble. But now, because we are modern now, we have our smartphone. Okay, I always write using my smartphone. Write the word, scribble some words, and then after that, I reach the hotel, I would sit down at night when everybody are sleeping, they are resting. I would sit down at a corner and try to look at the words that I scribbled just now and beautify it. And then I have actually created one poem. Okay, so that's how I always do with the poetry writing. Okay, so this is from Webster Dictionary, defining poetry. So what is poetry according to this dictionary? Okay, so Merriam-Webster says that the writings of a poet is poem. So if we write, it is called poems. Something that is very beautiful or graceful. Okay, maybe you may think that only I think that my poetry is beautiful or graceful. So I am shy to share it. Maybe other people don't think that is beautiful or graceful. Okay, maybe I alone feel that it is beautiful and graceful. What about others? So as I told you earlier, don't share with those people who are illiterate about poems. I call it illiterate, I'm sorry, because they don't understand poems. They don't understand poems. So if you share with them, they will think, okay, I remember previously I shared one poems. Okay, it was about love. Okay, a relationship between a man and a woman. Okay, and I posted it in my Facebook. Okay, and one of the staff, she messaged me, jiwangnya Kak Sherry. So I got a comment, jiwangnya Kak Sherry. Okay, so that particular day, my mood was jiwang mood. So I wrote a love poetry.
Jiwang
So
poetry.
yeah, so it's a jiwang poetry. Never
It
mind.
comes from the heart, right? Otherwise, you can't make it beautiful, like you said, beautifying with words and all that.
Yes. So, okay, good. I received one comment, jiwangnya Kak Sherry. And then nobody ever commented on that poem. Maybe they think that it is very sinful to comment on this type of poem. Kan, tak berani nak comment because the poem is too jiwang. Okay.
Angkat
So,
lele Kak
yeah.
Sherry.
So, what I did was I shared the same poem in a poetry group. okay, in a poetry group in Facebook, and there was a long list of comments on that poem. So that's why I said you talk to the people who speak the same language, who understand poetry and who appreciate poetry. So if you leave it to your, you post it to your Facebook and nobody comment anything, you will feel disappointed or depressed or frustrated for days, and it will demotivate you from writing. Okay, so try to find a group who is supportive, who are good in commenting, who give constructive comments. You will feel motivated, of course, and you feel like writing every day. Okay, all right. So poem is something very beautiful or graceful, and sometimes it is like a verse. Okay, it has a formula, of course. It has the metrical writing, whatever, but I did not focus on this because I think if I were to follow all this, the formula and everything, it will kill my motivation to write. Because after you have written something, and then you have to make sure that it follow the rules. Okay, so obviously I am not the person who like to follow the rules. I always like to break the rules. So that's why I am in the generation, the poets who break the rules and the poets who write free verse poems. Okay, all right. So now, what is poetry actually? Okay, so again, the definition, yeah, poetry is literary art from that can be written, spoken, or performed. Okay, so nowadays, if you notice, there are groups of students or group of people who do spoken word poetry. Do you know that there is spoken word poetry, and even there is also a conference on spoken word poetry, and there is a competition about spoken word poetry also. Okay. Spoken word poetry, I tried to have tried to introduce this to my students, but I think our students are not ready with spoken word poetry because they are very shy to speak their mind. Okay, so in spoken word poetry is actually very spontaneous. Okay, as for example, when you want to write poetry, it is like spontaneous, right? When you sit down and then spontaneously the words come to your mind and you transfer it to your paper. So the students, our students, they are not to that level yet. They can read poetry, prepared poetry, and pretend it like a spoken word poetry, but they cannot do spoken word poetry where they stand in front of the audience and let the words come spontaneously to the mind. Okay, our students are not ready, are not to that level yet. So what I did with them, I always ask my students to recite the poem in the class, and I always do this with my students, which the students really enjoy it. I give them a prompt. Okay, for example, I wrote on the whiteboard, if I were ... Okay, continue. So one student will come and continue, and another will come and continue to write. And then at the end, within few minutes, we actually formulated a poetry. And then together, we will try to make it sound good, sound like a poem, sound beautiful. And then voila, they created one poetry as set induction of the class for that day, for example. Okay, so poetry focuses on aesthetic of language, usually composed in verse, and is concerned with evoking an image or emotion. So always when you read a poetry, you can see it that there is an emotion in that poem or an image that is the poet is trying to portray. Okay, all right. So I'm not going to read everything. Okay, here. Poetry may not use complete sentences. The beauty about poetry is that, okay, for example, like my students, the pre-diploma students, when I introduce poetry to my pre-diploma students, they always say, Madam, we are not good in English. So I told them, you are not going to write complete sentences. Poem is not even complete sentences. Okay, you don't also have to worry about punctuation marks, everything. Okay, poetry places an importance on using words and syllables that give rhythm to a poem. So I always try to introduce haiku. It is short poem to pre-diploma students where they only have to write 3 lines. Haiku only contain 3 lines. So from these 3 lines, and then maybe after that, I challenge them to write another 3 lines. So they enjoy this. Okay. All right. So in brief, what poetry is. Poetry is the use of words and language to evoke a writer's feelings and thoughts. So, we are human. Sometimes we are in the low mood. Sometimes we are in the high mood. Sometimes we feel very nostalgic about something. Sometimes we feel melancholic. Sometimes we feel like we are trying to understand someone, or we find it difficult. Okay, for example, uh, when I was in the process of defending my PhD proposal. Okay, I was so serabut at that time. And then during that moment of chaotic mind, I managed to write one poem. The title was PhD Paranoia. And then another poem that I wrote during when I wanted to go for the defense proposal mania, something like that. So those describe my feeling about my. Uh, I was so scared to go for that defense, and then I described it in a poem. Okay, so a poem is the arrangement of these words. So you are right, Asni. Arrangement of words that form a poem. So poetry is all that is worth remembering in life. So when you have written a poetry and then you posted it somewhere, okay, but don't be like me, okay? I have written many and I have posted to many websites. And some of these websites, I have forgotten my password. So what a shame, okay? To the website that I've forgotten my password, halalah my poems there. Okay. So if you must stick to one or two websites that you always go to. Okay, for example, like myself, I have this Hello Poetry website that I've written hundreds of poems there. Okay, and I shared there. I love that website because you will be given a copyright for each of the poems that you have written. Okay, so when I feel bored or when I feel happy or sad or whatever, I will go back to Hello Poetry and read the poems that I've written. So it is worth remembering the moment that you have written that poetry. So I remember one poetry that I wrote about my cat. My cat died after that. Okay. So whenever I miss my cat, I would go to that poetry and look at and read the poetry again. The title of that poetry is A Cat in the Window. Okay. So it is worth to write because when you reminisce it, you read it back, okay, you remember all the things that happened in your life before. Okay, so this is one of example of poetry that rhymes. Okay, you see, the man of my heart, own choice, though make my soul rejoice, is wondrous fair with gold burnished hair. So you can see choice, joyce, fair, hair. Okay, so technically, this is the poem that rhymes, and many people love that a poetry that rhymes. Okay, but you can do this. You can write this. Okay, you can do this activity with the students also. Okay, ask them to write. You give them the first line and ask them to write the second line, which is rhyme with the first line. Okay, so this can be a very good activity. Okay, so now I would like you to share your creative juices. Okay, let your creative juices flow. Okay, so let's do some activities. Okay, so if I talk all the way, you will feel bored. So let us do this activity. I will give you pictures and I would like you to write creatively about the picture. You don't have to write a complete poem. Maybe you can write a line or two about the picture that I've shared. Okay, you can see a picture on your screen. Okay, this is a rose from my garden. I'm sharing it with you. Can you write in the chat box one or two lines? One line will be enough creatively about this picture. Okay, let us try. Let your creative juices flow. Come on. Are you with me?
We are. But
Okay, all right. So this is a picture of a flower. This rose is from my garden, my own garden. Okay, so yeah, try to write one line, one creative line. So as a
we have
practice.
one from Azlin, Kak Sharina. Azlin
Okay.
Abdullah.
Azlin, can you
Beauty is
write?
simple.
Azlin, can you read? Can you read your creative line? Maybe Azlin, the author herself, can read.
Beauty is simple.
Okay, beauty is simple. Okay, nice, very good. Okay, do you have any more, Asni?
Professor Madia Jasman Zafar, would you like to read it on your own?
Let's see if my mic's working. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, yes.
I'll try to get very close to the computer. I have here, I wrote one line there in the chat box. I can
Okay.
continue.
Would you like to read the line?
I have here, nature beckons when the sun is, when the day is bright. One little rose makes me come.
Wow, okay, all right, that is beautiful. All right, any more? Do we have any more?
Okay.
Come on, don't be shy.
Okay, we have Puan Rukaya Abdul Rahim. Maybe you should read this on your own. You should recite your lines.
Hi.
Hello.
Just trying, but I think my sentence is quite straightforward, not really.
Don't make that mistake by thinking small about your right. Okay, just
Okay.
share it. Just share
Okay.
it.
Just looking at your picture just now, blooming roses remind me of you, Mom. Pretty to see, but careful to touch.
Yeah, so it reminds you of your mother.
Yes. Really.
Yeah, okay, very good. Okay, so see, a rose cannot just be a rose. It can be, you can make you remind of a mother or your beautiful friend, or it can be anybody. It can be anything. Okay, not just a rose.
Because of the thorn, it always remind of my mom. Pretty
Because of the
straight.
thorn, your mom is so sharp.
Yeah, pretty. She's pretty straight, but yet very kind.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Even though it is thorny, but it's kind to the human
Yes.
being. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Do we have any more to share about the poem, about the rose, the picture?
Here we have Puan Azlin Abdullah.
Okay.
She
Puan Azlin.
has more to the previous one. Puan Azlin?
Beauty is simple yet so comforting. Beauty is simple yet so very enlightening.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Beautiful. Okay. You have four lines. Sorry. You have four lines, right? You have four lines instead of one. Okay.
Okay, Kak Norzi Diana.
Do I have to read this myself?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Okay, thy petals, dear rose, so pretty, shalt thou kill me?
Wow, that is beautiful. You know, the beauty about your word is you don't even mention the rose, right? You don't even mention the rose, but you mention the petal. Yeah, so that is genius. For me, it is genius. Okay, all right. Any more? Do we have any more?
Mine is rather straightforward, Kak Sharina. I would like to try.
Okay, never mind.
Life is colorful, but mine is pink.
Okay. So So you have a very straightforward thinking. Okay, life is again. Share again. Life is.
Life is colorful, but mine is pink.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you know that there is a film called The Sky is Pink? Okay, so your life is pink in color. Okay, another picture, yeah? Let's try this one. Okay. Okay, take this challenge. You can see in the picture a skeleton and a lot of money there. So try to relate the money and the skeleton. And write a line or two about this picture. Okay, are we ready? Asni?
So far, no.
So far, no. Okay.
I myself don't have any idea.
Okay, give them 2 minutes.
Okay, we have one. Okay, we have.
All right. Okay,
What
good.
now?
Okay.
Parukaya, Kak Norzidiana, Ong, Ellie. Maybe you can recite your own lines.
Okay.
Parukaya?
It's okay. You can laugh at your own words.
Already love it.
This is fun, really fun.
Okay, this is a fun one. Okay.
Okay, when those printed yellow, blue, and red consumed me, I just couldn't breathe.
Okay. It is very meaningful. Only people who can read between the lines can understand it. Okay. So, can you share with us what is your understanding of this picture? You have written it in a poem, okay, in a creative line, but maybe some people don't understand it. Okay, try to explain it. What did you mean by that line you shared just now?
Okay, it's about our over-reliance on wealth. Okay, that we are too obsessed with wealth making that we forget, okay, some other more important things in life like friendship, family, and everything. Yeah. And then of course, okay, when you are all obsessed about all these materialistic things, I don't think that we can live happily, okay, the way we should be.
In the end, we will not bring our wealth.
Yeah, to the grave is true. Okay.
Yes.
It's just so worldly again. Keduniaan sangat. Okay, it's important, it's true, but you won't be that 100% happy even if you be the wealthiest person in the world.
Okay, good sharing. Okay, can we have another one, Asni? Another sharing, Asni, maybe?
Sorry, I was muted. Okay, so this one is from Puan Rukaya. Greed make you lost. Be kind to others.
Okay.
And then Ong Ellie, love wealth till death. Azlin Abdullah, greed brings no joy. And Iris Henry, death from success.
Okay.
And our very own Chua Bi Peng.
Yeah, Jackie. Thank you for sharing, Jackie. Jackie, what did Jackie write?
Urn to ashes, ashes to the urn. Jackie?
Yes. Hi.
Hey, come on. Can you read your poem?
It's not a poem. It's just a free verse. It's a urn.
Okay.
Earn
So,
to ashes is just a little play on the words earn and earn. So earn to ashes, ashes to the urn. I mean, for Chinese culture, if one is dead, if you're cremated, then your ashes will be put in the urn.
mm.
So earning money, so earn to ashes, you earn till you die, and then when you die, you go into the urn.
Yeah. Okay. It's funny. It's quite funny, but it's true, right? It's it sounds funny, but it is true. Okay, but congratulations for those who have shared. And I noticed that not a single one of you mentioned the word money. Okay, so I think the beauty of a poem is you don't have to talk about the subject too much, but you show it, or the language. I think the language is you don't tell, but you show it. You don't tell so much. For example, you don't say money, money, money so much, but then you show it. How the money that you love will actually leave you when you die. Okay, you don't bring those wealth to the grave. Okay, you mention wealth instead of use the word money. Okay, like Jackie, she used the word ashes just now, right? Okay, okay, good sharing. Okay, you are getting there. You are almost a poet. All right. Okay, I'm going to share you the next picture. Yeah, this is a picture of my cat. I lost my cat recently and found it back. Okay, so anything you like to say, anything you like to write, maybe a line or two about this picture. I use this picture as an advertisement for the group Lost and Found, Cats Lost and Found group in Facebook. So I use this picture. Within 5 days, I found my cat back. So, okay, 1 or 2 minutes.
Tambah kucing.
Okay, Jackie again, never let the
Jackie.
cat out of the bag.
Okay, Jackie, go on. What did Jackie write?
Never let the cat out of the bag.
All right. Never let a cat out of the bag. All right.
Lines. Mm,
Any more?
say one no. Okay, Norzidiana. Okay. Until death do us apart, sweet love thing. I just love thee.
Okay. All right. Good.
Dr. Siti Mazwin, I need space to run, I need air to breathe, but I need you to love.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Okay, any more?
Any more?
Puan Asia, what a perfect world.
Okay. So I'm gonna share what I have written about this. Yeah, this picture. The boss is sick. I'm one humbled employee. So I think cat lovers know that actually they are the bosses and we are the employees because we serve them food. We will take them to the vet whenever they are sick. So we take care of them. So the boss is sick. I am one humble employee. So that is what I've written about this picture. Okay, let's move quickly to the next one. Okay, so this one is a mother and a baby. So I think you love to write about this. Okay, come on, let's share.
We are still waiting Kak Sharina.
Okay. If you have one, you can also share.
I don't.
Maybe you want to talk about a lullaby. Come on, anyone?
Okay, Puan Rukaya, would you like to read your line on your own, or you want me to read it for you? Life is not always fun. Behold yourself, my son.
Okay.
Professor Madia Jasman Jaafar again. A mother's love never dies, forever etched in the web of life.
Okay. So after you have written that line, perhaps later you can write few more words or few more lines to that. Okay, you can send it to your mother, or maybe you can save it to yourself if you're a mother, or maybe you can send it to your wife. Okay, if you want to share it with your wife, or maybe you want to share it with your mother. Okay,
Okay, Kak Sharina, Dr. Nur Fahzan.
Okay,
As winter passes, so shall the misery. Look, the sun shines oh so brightly.
Wow. Okay.
When Azlin, one can see as far as one can see, the distance will come, but you will always be close to me.
That is beautiful and sweet. Okay.
And my friend Nur Hidayah Muhammad Yusof, 1, 2, 3. I love you, Ibu, eternity.
Yeah, that is sweet. Okay, that is so simple and sweet. All right. Okay, do we have any more? This is a sad one. Just now you are telling something to your son. Okay, now you are still talking to your son, but if you look at the picture, the mood is different. Okay. So maybe you would like to share what is the mood in this picture. What is the mood there? Maybe you can write one word.
The mood of this picture. One word. Sorrow. From Puan Aisyah. Tears.
Tears, sorrow, tears.
Agony.
If you look at this picture, the mother has tears in her eyes, and she is holding an umbrella, and the son is in her palm. Okay, so if you look at this picture closely, what can you relate between the mother, the umbrella, the son in the palm?
Puan Rukaya is funny. Si tanggang ka, she said.
Si tanggang.
I can't help it. I'm sorry if I interrupt. I can't help it.
It's okay, because you are free to interpret it.
That is very sad though, extremely sadness.
Yeah, extreme sadness, right? It's very deep.
It's like no matter how hard she tries, but as the son grows up, maybe she can no longer protect him. Or when she's gone, she can no longer protect.
Yeah, maybe she feels sad herself because she is scared that who will protect the son when she's no longer there. She's no longer there. We can look at it in a positive way. We can also look at it in a negative way. In a negative way, is like that si tanggang lah. No matter how hard she, whatever she does for the son, or whatever, how hard she tried to protect the son, but then in the end, the son does not appreciate her, for example. Okay?
It's actually her tears, on top of the umbrella. It's not really the rain, right?
Yeah, not really the rain. It's her tears. Okay?
Not being able to protect the loved ones.
Yeah. Okay? All right. So, Can we move on to another picture? This is
Oh, this is nice.
okay.
In your face.
Yeah. So I think whenever you feel angry with somebody, you feel like you want to box his head, you want to tumbuk muka dia or whatever, you can use this picture. Look at this picture and write your short poetry there. So whenever you feel angry at that person, you can look at this picture and have a good laugh at yourself. Okay, so what I wrote about this, yeah, I actually wrote a poem about this picture. Okay, this is my picture, my poem about that picture of the two cats sharing. Okay, there, you want it so bad, take it. Yeah, yeah, you like that. Eat, I say, eat, you little gray colored treat. How dare you mess with Big Daddy's meat? Next time you come around my bowl, you won't be so lucky, now you've been told. Nobody messes with Big Daddy's food unless you want me in a head storm and mood. No, go ahead, finish. You may as well, although my stomach's empty. And yours, it will swell. Learn this lesson, my little gray friend. You can't eat my food, even if your life depends. Next thing you know, food won't be enough. You think you are strong and tough? Take my wife, but leave my meat. Okay, so
Take
this
my
is so
wife.
funny. Take my wife, but leave my meat. So this is a funny poem, yeah, about that picture. So you don't always have to write serious poem or serious topics. You can also write funny pics. Okay, so there are many poets here who your favorites. Maybe one of them are your. We have talked about this earlier. Okay, I think one of my favorite is, of course, everybody love William Shakespeare. One of my favorite is this one, Percy B.C. Shelley. I remember him because when I was studying, when I was doing TESOL degree, my lecturer gave a poem from Percy B.C. Shelley to me and asked me to analyze his poem. I remember the title of his poem is Love Philosophy. Okay, and I had to crack my head to analyze it. Why is the poem titled Love Philosophy? Is there a philosophy in love? Okay. And we also have Malaysian famous poets. We have talked about it just now. Okay, so this is the poem that was given by me. And because of my lecturer, I remember, because of her, I started to enjoy poetry. Okay, it was a torture for me to write, to analyze this poetry, but in the end, I found that I really enjoyed it, and I started to write poetry ever since. Okay, so this love philosophy, written by this famous poet, it is about. Okay, this is the analysis that I had. Okay, but I don't want to talk about this. It is talking about in love, we also have certain rules to follow. Okay, so it is a very good poem, and I think my lecturer has chosen the best poem for me to do the assignment, and because of that, I grew my interest in writing poem. Okay, so I have also written one poem about great poets. I remember when I did my subject when I was doing TESOL, one of the subject is literature, of course, and we had to learn poems from great poets. Okay, so I wrote this. Okay, Shakespeare, Keats, Byron, and our own A. Samad Said. Great men, great poets, but what do you lesser mortals want to read? Simple words, simple phrases. Some of you like me, some of you just like me, can't work out the difference between a green salad and a metaphor. Okay, so some people, they are very good at using words. They can use imagery, metaphor. Okay, but some people are straightforward. If they want to write about salad, whatever, they just write the green salad. They don't find what is a good metaphor to write about green salad. Okay, at that time when I was a student, okay, I can't work out the difference between a green salad and a metaphor. But that doesn't matter. We cannot, because we write with love. Then I found out that you don't really have to care about all this. Because if you like to write, you just write because you write with love. No pretentious idea of lasting glory. We write primarily for you, for us. We write because we love words. I think most of us who like to write, we enjoy writing. Okay, so don't stress yourself. This is creative writing. It should be fun, should be stress free. Okay, whenever I feel like I want to distress, I will try to write funny poems. I would like to write something which is a satire. You want to comment on something, but you cannot directly comment. But then you can write it in your poem and read it and laugh at it, enjoy it yourself. Okay. So, people ask me, is writing a poetry easy or difficult? Tak reti lah Kak Sherry, I tak kreatif macam you. They always say, I ni apa pun tak reti tulis, tak reti lah nak tulis kreatif-kreatif ni. Okay. So, I heard this from my friends. Okay, my friends say, I lagi tak reti lah. Something like that. Okay, so, this is what this is the answer for the question. Okay, for those who said tak reti, susah, okay. So poetry is the voice of the soul. Poetry too is the voice that you have in your heart, in your soul. It's inside of you, okay. So it is inside of you. So what you need to do is just take a pen and transmit your voice of the soul, okay. Transmit it, and then you can form a nice poetry, okay. Some writers like Alice Walker, she said that they do not even do their own writing. The voices inside them tell them what to write. Of course, this is semantic. Yeah. The writer is the one who hears the voice and take the dictation. I see all of this as a metaphor for the strange and often mysterious ways that our minds work. So what is your comment on this? Is writing poetry easy or difficult? Anybody would like to respond? For me, is your ability to listen to your own voice. Okay, so sometimes you have all this in yourself. It is boiling inside of you, or maybe it wants to come out. Okay, so just take a pen, sit down, and write it down. It may not be beautiful at first, but don't worry about perfection so much. If you practice, it will be a good one in the end. Okay, so does this motivate you to write already or not? Okay, so poetry allows me to express emotions that lie dormant in the darkness of my soul. So that's why our collection later will call Voice of the Soul. Okay, until at last pen meets paper, and then at the end, you will submit your poem in our Google form, and then we will have a collection of poetry from this webinar, inshallah. Okay, so who said you cannot write a poetry? So write, sometimes you feel confused. Write when you are confused. Write about your confusion. Okay, and when you feel happy, write if you're happy. As words like water have the power to move mountains while staying calm. Okay, so words are like water, the power of words. It can move a mountain. Sometimes after reading your poems, a person can be motivated, not worry anymore. Dulu aku rasa tak reti tulis poetry. After reading this, I think my poetry is as good as this one. My write is as good as this one. I actually can write a poem myself. Okay, so do not worry about logic. Logic ke tak logic ah? Logic ke tak logic ah? Do not worry about it. Enjoy your imagination. Sometimes you imagine that your cat could speak to you. If my cat could speak. I remember, when I said about this, I remember in Hello Poetry, later after this webinar, you can just Google my name, Sharina Saad, in Hello Poetry. So in Hello Poetry, you can see a list of poems there. There is one poem of mine. The title is If Bed Could Talk, If Pillow Could Talk, or If Bed Could Talk, something like that. Okay, so after I woke up in the morning and I look at my bed and I imagine if my bed could talk, my bed would tell me how noisy sleeper I was. Okay, maybe I snort. I didn't realize that I snort when I was sleeping. So my bed, if my bed could talk, My bed could tell me that. So I imagine that my bed could speak. So do not worry about that logic. Orang lain mesti fikir, macam mana pula tilam katil bantai nak cakap. But then just enjoy imagination. Okay. So in that poem, I talk about my pillow, my bed, semualah yang atas katil tu. So just enjoy imagination. Okay, so write words, rhyme words, whatever you want to do with words, and help your brain by making it know that its soul is there to help it. Okay, so if you feel shy previously about your poem, or if you feel like you are confused or you don't know how to write, try to start small by trusting your imagination. Okay, and don't really worry about orang lain thinking that your poem is illogical. Yeah, because it is your imagination. Okay, poetry is like wrote a haiku about this rabbit. Why don't you start to write a haiku about this rabbit first? Okay, because I know that some of the people in my audience, some of my audience have never written a poetry before. Maybe you would like to start by writing a haiku. 3 lines, short one. Okay, I will give you 1 minute. 3 lines, just a short one about this rabbit. Asni, do we have our audience who are sharing their haiku already? Do we have?
So far,
not yet. They are thinking. They're still
not
thinking.
yet.
They are still thinking. Just 3 lines, short one.
Okay, how about this one?
Okay.
It's my own.
Okay.
Are you lost?
Are you
Fear
lost?
not, for the world is yours.
Okay, very good.
I don't know.
Okay, very good. That is good. Are you lost? Are you lost? The second line is?
Fear not.
Fear not. Third line?
For the world is yours.
For the world is yours. Okay. You are free to imagine. Okay. Look at this rabbit and this is your imagination and this is what you would like to express. There is no right or there is no wrong in that. Okay. Okay, good. Thank you for sharing. So do we have a haiku already?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, let us if you share, maybe you can read it later. Okay. This is what I have written about the rabbit, yeah. Oh, you poor little rabbit in the lush green forest, you are not the concrete jungle you are heading to. Because I found this rabbit on my way home, not in the forest or not in the hutan or semak or whatever, but on the street. Okay. Or another one hop to the right, one hop to the left, another hop you survived. Okay. All right. It is 12:30. I think I'm going to speak now. Okay. So where can you share your poetry? So this is, if you are wondering, I have keeping my poems in my closet. So where can I share my poetry now? Okay, as I mentioned just now, find people who speak the same language, people who also like to write poetry like you, people who are poetry lovers like you. Okay, share with people who understand the poetry. There are many poetry groups in FB. If you have Facebook, maybe afterwards you can look for Poetry for the Soul. There is a group called Poetry Therapy. Okay, I like this Poetry Therapy group because whenever I feel down, I will go to this group and read all the Poetry Therapy poems. Okay, it is good for the soul. Okay. Sometimes the words are funny and it makes you laugh and you will forget about the incident that you faced early in the morning. It makes you upset about something. So if I feel upset, I go to this poetry group and read all these poetry. So you can go to Poetry for the Soul, Poetry Therapy Group, Poetry of Today, or you can go to my page. It is called Magical Words of Poetry. Okay. And in internet, there are many poetry websites. Okay. And I recommend if you want to start writing, why don't you try to register to Hello Poetry? Okay. I don't know, maybe from this year onwards, they have started to charge you a small fee. Okay, previously when I registered, it was free all the way, and the admin, the name is Timothy. Okay, he messaged me. He asked for small contribution. There is no fixed amount. It is up to you how much you want to contribute to this Hello Poetry, so that it will be there. Your poems will be archived, and you will be given the copyright. Okay, it is a good website because you will meet many poets from all over the world in Hello Poetry, not only from Malaysia, from India, from China, from Arab countries, from all over the world. Okay, so Magical Words of Poetry is my page. Okay, it starts with my intro. The intro in my page is write a line from your heart, magic a poet you are. So I would like to encourage people to write. That's why I said write a line from your heart, magic a poet you are. So if you wonder, aku ni poet ke tak? My poetry, apa yang aku tulis ni poem ke tak? So don't worry. Okay, you can start small. Come to my group, come to my page and share something. So, but of course, before I upload it, I will look at the words, okay, perfect it a bit and upload it there and share it there. Okay, so that's a magic in poetry that is difficult to describe in words. So people who don't understand, they will macam mana lah nak tulis, something like that. Okay, so it is difficult to describe in words the joy that you feel after you have written something and you have shared your poetry to the world. Okay, so even though poetry itself often uses words to create magic. Okay, so try to click on this later. Okay, and we can meet each other in the group. Okay, so why write a poetry? Okay, so this is what I've written. Okay, sometimes I write just to delight. I ask, why not tango, meaning mango, pretend it's art to show that I'm smart. Smarting still from life blows, the emperor has no crows. Perchance I wish to reveal a vision or risk the wrath of world's derision. To pun is fun, and like the sun, I can't help shining. So if you have your own community, for example, when I share my poems in a website in many international people, so it doesn't matter if your colleagues do not know that you have written poems, okay? But you have these international people who love to read your poems and make you feel like a star. So you shine there in several poetry websites. You shine there. It doesn't matter. Okay, I am just a small writer. Okay, I write poetry for enjoyment, not for monetary purposes. So some people who are money-minded, they always ask me, kenapa you share dengan ramai-ramai orang? Why must you share with ramai-ramai orang? You should charge them. The people who read your poetry, they have to give you money. So I don't think about this profit making. I'm not a profit making writer. Okay, I just enjoy to write. Okay. So, come to this. Why do we write poetry? Poetry lets you express your emotions and organize them. Okay? And poetry make you express your happiness, your sadness. You write that. Okay? Poems will give you better chance to improve your vocabulary. Okay, for example, you tell your students, okay, this one student lah kan, or lecturers as well. Okay? Who always tell you, you tak apa lah, you APB, you can write good poems. No. You tell your colleagues, you always say that you APB, okay, but I'm not APB, so I cannot write good like you, okay, something like that. Okay, so tell them if they write, they can actually improve the vocabulary, because most of the time we try to rhyme it, and for this we are constantly in a quest to find new words. So when you want to find new words, you want to find better words, you want to find words which is nampak elegant, okay, in your poem, interesting, okay. You may want to look for words, you may want to look at the dictionary, or maybe you want to look at the thesaurus to find these words to put it in your poetry, okay, so that your poetry will look no less than a masterpiece, okay. So you have to practice writing. So these are the reasons why I write, okay. This is something that comes from inside of me. I write because I love to observe, and sometimes I feel about something very strongly. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, I don't like to fight with people, but if I feel upset about something or some issues with some people, I will always write it in my poem. Okay, so whenever I feel sad, it comes out. Whenever I feel happy, it comes out as well. The words will come out naturally. So whenever I observe people, I think of that thing, it comes out. Okay. Sometimes whenever I sit at Tesco, for example, at the food court and observe the people, I can actually write it. Okay. It comes from inside of me. So poetry is basically thoughts and feelings. So when you are unable to share your thoughts by talking to someone, you just write them as poetry. Okay, you cannot argue with someone, you cannot talk to someone, you just write them. Okay, so I write poetry to express my thoughts and feelings, to exhale thoughts from my mind and heart heavy, and keep myself away from overthinking. Okay, so although sometimes it can also result from overthinking itself. Sometimes you overthink and you write it in a poetry, and when people read it, I think, Sharina, I think you overthink. Okay, based on the poetry that I have read, they think that I overthink. Okay, but I think most of the time, if you want to avoid from overthinking, you write it down. Okay, and you read it back. Okay, I write my poetry on my phone. Okay, now dulu kan tulis atas paper saja, scribble on a notebook, put it in my handbag, and then go back home and then take my notebook and perfect it and make it into a poetry. But now I use my phone. Okay. All right. So why write poetry? It is actually an antidote to stress. Believe me, it is a therapy. Okay. So sometimes we write a piece for our satisfaction, and sometimes for our dear ones. Okay. For example, you want to appreciate someone. Okay. Your boss nak pindah campus kan, for example. You want to appreciate your boss. Maybe you want to write. You don't know how to express it in words. You write a poetry, and then you give that poem together with a gift to your boss, okay, for example. So that person will treasure your words, okay, and appreciate it, of course, okay. Poetry makes you imagine things and give new wings to your creativity. Days later, okay, you will not regret when you read your masterpiece, okay. You would feel glad about it no matter what topic you have chosen to write, okay. All right. So who will read my poem? This is another question. Kak Sharina, if I write, siapa nak baca? You je baca. Okay, some of my colleagues will say that you je baca because you like poems. No, okay, for example, I shared my poems in Hello Poetry. Okay, so there are many people here who are students, who are doing literature studies, who are lecturers, who are professionals. They just like to read and write. Some they come to this Hello Poetry just to read other people's poetry. Some they want to write, and then they also enjoy reading other people's poetry. Okay, they share. Okay, for example, in Hello Poetry, I have built a community. So kita buat satu macam with the fellow poets, I have made this macam agreement. If I read your poem and comment, you must also read my poem and comment. Okay, and if you have written something new, you just update it. Okay, so that your community, the community in Hello Poetry will see your update and they will read it and they will comment. So these comments will make you feel good or will make you improvise your poems. Believe me. Okay, I will not click this because we don't have time. Okay, are you worried that you will have no audience? Don't worry. You just go to the right people. Go to the groups that share poems. Okay, go to the websites that publish poetry. So Hello Poetry is a free publishing group. They publish your poetry. You don't have to pay a single cent. You just have to donate if you want to donate. But no, tak paksa. They don't force you to donate. It is up to you whether you want to donate or not. Okay. So write and write irrespective of whether people find it interesting or not. You don't worry if people don't find it interesting. There will be people who will find it interesting. Okay, so get your poet friends, get the society. Okay, so these are the group that I joined and I publish there for free. Okay, so Hello Poetry, Poetry Poem, and Kavishala is a group. Most of the poets here are Indian, but then there are a few Malay people here also in this Kavishala. Okay, so who will read my poetry? To have great poets, there must be great audiences. So actually, the people who comment, they want to learn, they want to understand, and they are eventually a great audience because they read, they appreciate, they enjoy, they understand, and they comment. Okay. So I would like to advise you, if you have written something or if you plan to write, leave your poems out for the world to see. If you share in the websites, there are many people, okay? Even though virtually, it doesn't matter, okay? So you can see how many people get your poems, okay? How many people are puzzled about your issues, okay? And how many people will reach out to you to know more? Okay, I think I've met some wonderful people who appreciate poems in these websites that I join and also in the poetry groups that I join in Facebook. Okay, there are students who are doing literature who contacted me and asked me to advise. Okay, and I remember I've been contacted by one a poet. He wrote his poems while he was in prison. He was in prison and he wrote many poems. And he contacted me because he asked me. Okay, he saw me in Facebook and he asked me where to share. And um, I introduced Hello Poetry to him. And when I read his poems, I saw that there are many hate poems from him. So I encourage him to read my poems where I write about kindness, love. I also write about religion, about Islam, about praising Allah, believing in Muhammad, wearing hijab, Islamic way of life. So when he reads my poems, he tried to understand that actually there is beauty in this world instead of hate. There are also people who are kind. Okay, but he said that in his life he only met people who hate him. Okay, so if you share your poems to the world, you will meet many people who will come to you. So that is actually self-satisfaction for me. Okay, so how could you know if your poetry is worth reading? Tadi I think Asia asked me, how do you know if your poetry is worth reading? If your poetry is good, professional, or creative? Okay, so this is my advice. Okay, don't expect that the poetry that you write will become a hit every time. When I post my poetry in Hello Poetry, why I like this Hello Poetry, because it will inform me how many readers I have and how many people who comment. So and then how many people view it or read it. So they will send you updates so you know that your poem is a hit or not. Okay, and which poem are popular. So they will categorize your poems into popular category or less popular category. Okay, so you will be updated. So that's why I like Hello Poetry so much. Okay, so I always write for the joy of it. Okay, so you might join a poetry website and make friends. Okay, seek out, and you can also seek out a local poetry group. Okay, actually, I've been approached by a local poetry group. I don't know that Malaysia had other local poetry group. I just came to know because this person reached out to me. He asked me to share 2 poems because they wanted to celebrate Father's Day. And he asked uh, two poems from me about daddy, about father lah, about father, how to appreciate a father. So I shared with them. And then some people ask me, kenapa you bagi free? Kenapa you bagi free? No, I like to share. Okay, so it brings satisfaction to me if other people share my poetry. It doesn't matter. Okay, tak payah bayar duit pun tak apa. I don't mind. Okay, so I shared two poems. One is the title is Daddy Smelly Feet. Okay, so it talks about the sacrifice of a father. Okay, and another is the title is just Daddy. It is a sadness of a student who went into a convocation without her daddy, witnessing the convocation day. So I got that inspiration while I was in the hall witnessing our convocation day in UiTM Kedah. So I was sitting there and I was thinking, how many of them yang tak ada father dalam hall ni? So I've been thinking that. So after the ceremony, I came back to my office and I wrote that poem. So I donated these two poems to this group and they shared it for Father's Day celebration. Okay, so these are group of poets who share their work with fellow poets. Okay, I share, get some constructive feedback and improve my work. Creativity jumps outside the box to see the real world. You can be creative in your own way. So this is my advice. If you write, carry on, enjoy it and share it. And don't only focus on profit making, so nak duit. Okay, I don't really focus on this profit making. Okay, all right, what makes a poem a poem? Okay, a famous poet called Samuel Taylor, he said that the best words is the best order. So you could also describe poems in other ways. You know you are reading a poem because you hear its rhythm. You read your poem again and again, you can hear the rhythm. Okay, you can feel your thoughts and you can feel the feeling. So poems happen when words don't go all the way across the page. Okay, it doesn't have to be complete sentences. Okay, all those things can be true, but one thing is certain. People who craft great poetry think carefully about the words they choose and what order they put them in. Okay, so that's why you write, you rewrite, sometimes you rewrite again to make it into what you think is a perfect poem for you. But even though you think that your poem is perfect, that you can still perfect it. Okay, sometimes after you have read it, you kenapa lah I tak guna word ni? Okay, so poems should sound like music. Okay, they should paint pictures in reader's mind. If your poem can paint pictures in other readers' mind, then it is a good poem. Okay, so share your poetry to the world. Okay, so this is my poetry poem page. Okay, this is another page that I joined and I enjoyed. I am poet number 8391. My page is called The Colors of Love. You can go to this page later if you are curious about it. Okay, these are the list of poems that I shared. The beauty about this website is after you have a reader, after a reader read a poem, okay, Selamat petang Kak Sharina, he wrote to me. I am a Malaysian Chinese, okay, holding remnants of what little culture I still carry from my forefathers, though I had a lot of fun blending with the Chinese culture. How do I get your poetry book? So this Kyle, he wanted to purchase my book, okay, and I am itching to read Vampire's Lover. And thank you so much for the comments you wrote on my poems. And then he said, sumpah sial, budak-budak kat Facebook buat dono je. So that's why I said, don't share to your Facebook. Don't share to your Facebook because you will not get good audience. You will not get people who understand what you have written there. So that's why he said, sumpah sial, budak-budak Facebook buat dono je. But then when I commented, so he really appreciated it. Okay? A dismay, especially when I'm wondering if this is the right hobby for me. Because he wanted to start a hobby of writing a poetry, so now they don't wonder whether it is the right hobby for him, because tak ada orang yang komen. So that's why I encourage him to write in the right group. Okay, but when I commented here, I asked him how old is he, because Vampire's Lover is not suitable for people under 18. Okay, so that's why I asked him how old. That's why when he said that he is 21, then I'm selling this book to him. Okay, all right. So you have to build your audience here. You can build your audience, people who love poetry. They are poetry lovers, of course. They will read your poetry and then they will give you very good feedback. Okay, for example, I love this comment by Traveler because he really, because he is a professional writer and he commented very professionally about my poem. Okay, and then this Joe Cole, okay, he always message me and ask me, morning Sherry, I'm reading the poems right now, reading my poems. And then he asked me to read his poem and comment. And then I always I update him, please read my poems, Hurt and Aloof. I just have written 2 poems and I asked him to read. Okay. Okay, and then you can connect with other poets. Yeah, and you will enjoy it. Okay, when people read and comment and appreciate your work, you will enjoy it. Okay, I have this one reader of my poem. He is from Singapore. She and not he. She's from Singapore. Terima kasih banyak-banyak, Cik. Sorry, my Malay not good, ha. Nama saja Melayu. Okay. And then she is a student who's doing literature from Singapore, and she likes me to comment her poetry. Okay. Okay, this is my one of my hit poem. The title is something about death. Okay, so this Madhuri Banaji, she is from another group. She shared my poem in her group. Okay, and she said, I saw this poem by Sharina Saad. It's so apt for today's time. Do it now. Okay, and I received many comments here. And then I have, okay, one day I was browsing YouTube and then I saw this comment by an Indian fan. But of course, he commented in Tamil. I didn't understand Tamil, but I understood when he mentioned my name and the title of my poetry. So my poetry has, he discussed my poetry and uploaded it in YouTube. Okay, all right. And I have another fan here. Okay, he is actually, okay, let me share with you. I'm not going to share all because it is almost 1 p.m. Okay, so this person,
glasses work well for reading books, but not
he
for text
actually
messages with the computer.
messaged
Don't
me
buy
and asked
several
my
pairs of
permission to
readers.
use
What
my
you need
poetry.
is one.
Okay, I would like to share it with you.
Before I Die, a poem by Sharina, Saad. When I'm dead, your tears will.
Okay, I'm not going to share it in full, but you can always go to YouTube and you can type Sharina Saad poem in YouTube. Okay, so I receive a lot of comments here. And this is a feedback about my poems. Okay, and this person, the name is Suresh Pillai from India. He is a journalist and writer in Hyderabad, India. He messaged me and then he said, I love your poem, Love Me Before I Die. So I think this poem is the most talk about poem. Okay, Love Me Before I Die. It was widely spread in India, and he told me it was widely spread in India, especially in Telugu language speaking states on social media. It was referred as written by Rabindranath Tagore. So they thought that
Wow.
Rabindranath Tagore wrote this poem.
Rabindranath.
Yeah, the
Wow.
one and only Nobel laureate poet in India. So I doubted it was not written by him. Even contacted some English university professors to clear my doubt and came to know that it was yours after several hours of Googling. Okay, he finally found out that the poem is written by me, not by Rabindranath. Okay, and then ever since that, he always email me the updates about my poem if it has been discussed in India media, social media. Okay, because if I Google it myself, I will not understand the language, so he will translate it to me. Okay, all right. Okay, so I also one of my poems about a rose has been also chosen to be in 89 classic and contemporary poems about roses. Okay, it is one accomplishment for me. Okay, this is my poem about a rose. actually it doesn't talk about the bunga rose. It talks about a woman. Okay. And this is the Hello Poetry page. You can go to this. There are many poems of mine here, many topics, not about sadness or happiness. It also has some, I also talk about religious issues here. Okay. And this one, I wrote a poem about ODL. Remember when we were having ODL session? Okay. And then I encouraged my students to write something. I just gave them a prompt. I gave them a prompt. The prompt start with ODL, they say. And I asked them, okay, sambung. Okay, continue. So they continued writing. And then in the end, we have created, not formulated, we have created a good poem. And we entered a competition, a poem competition. And we won second place for this ODL poem. This poem has been recited by one of the students. Okay. Mesti kena share because this is my student. The poem title is A Promising ODL Journey.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day to all. A Promising ODL Journey by Madam Sharina Saad. ODL, they say, online distant learning is like a play. 1 second you turn away, the focus will lose their way. HMU Madam says, hit me up if there is any question. It seems easy, but most of us are struggling. The smile on the face, the pain in the heart. Keep working hard. Focus on your long-term reward. It's not the excuses that count, but the fire in your soul. Nothing in life comes easy. Everything comes with a sacrifice to achieve all the dreams. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of vessel. Learning is not filling of a pot, but the lightning of a fire. Keep going, no matter what others say. Believe in yourself for your own sake, not others. Whoever strives will surely succeed. Whoever does not will be the opposite. And that's how life works. The learning process continues until the day you die. Keep your goal in mind. Don't give up. Education is lifelong. Because if there is a will, there is a way. Nothing good comes from comfort zones. Learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with other and attended to with diligence. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, so that poem won a second place in Majlis Apresiasi lecturers last year, and I'm glad because I think I wrote that we not I we wrote that poem in the classroom, okay, together with the students, and then that is actually to encourage the students to learn or to study during ODL because they were so demotivated. So to motivate them, so that's why I made it as a practice. Okay, I also wrote about love and appreciation, about other cultures. This is a very nice poem. I wish I have the time to share with you. If you click on this poem is about Holi, Indian festival, Holi.
Oh, terima kasih, terima kasih.
So this poem is written by me and recited by my students. Okay, because last year we had an event. We had a project actually with the Indian University, KJ Somaya College. So my students did a performance uh, using that poem during the closing ceremony. And I also wrote, because I am passionate about doing a research about Orang Asli, I have also written a poem about Orang Asli, and this poem won the Best Script Award for Poetry Recitation in Arau International Poetry Festival. Okay, I wish I could share all the YouTube's videos with you. Interesting. Okay, and one of my poem I wrote about cupcakes because my youngest, she learned how to bake. Okay, she learned how to bake, so I taught her how to bake a cupcake. So our poems have been selected to 15 tasty cake poems in the internet. Okay, and I also wrote about pizza because my son loved pizza. And at this time, I learned how to make pizza, and I wrote a poem about pizza, and it has been selected to Pizza Poem Collection. Okay. And you can also go to Poetry, The Colors of Love. This is also my site, my website, where I share all my poetry here. Okay, writing on a journey. You can, okay, for example, you kata mana ada masa nak tulis poetry, nak tulis artikel pun tak ada masa. Okay, no. Actually, you can write on a journey. This was when I was holidaying in Kuala Lumpur. I met some old friends. So that's why I wrote a poem, Reminisce. Okay. And this was on my way back to Sungai Petani after a holiday in Kuala Lumpur with my husband. And then I was like very fascinated by the technologies, scan QR code, scan QR code. So I wrote a poem about this QR code thing. Yeah, when I wanted to register for the hotel, I had to scan a QR code. Nak keluar daripada hotel pun scan QR code. Nak naik train also scan QR code. So I wrote about that topic. Okay, this was when I was in the office. While having breakfast in the office, I wrote pancakes and coffee. Very simple one, but yeah, it can enlighten your day. Okay, you feel happy for that day. All right, and this is a poem. Okay, after a long time not meeting my grown-up daughter, I wrote a poem when she had an event in Sungai Petani. So she asked me to sit on this swing and take a picture. So I wrote this poem. I put you on the swing, you say, Mommy, I'm afraid. Mommy says, Mommy is here, don't be afraid. Today you sit on that swing, you say, Mommy, come sit with me. Mommy says, Babe, I'm too old for this. You smile and say, I'm with you, Mommy, I'm with you. Together they cherish a sweet moment on the swing. It is sweet and touching juga lah, okay? After some time of not meeting my daughter. Okay, and then this is, I wrote this poem. The title is My Hijab. I was happy because my youngest daughter decided to wear tudung at this time. So I wrote a poem about my hijab. And I explained to her why Islam asks you to wear tudung. Kan? Okay. And about my cat, this is the cat that I told you, my cat, the cat died. And then this poetry I wrote this poetry because my cat is fat. So I wrote about obesity. Actually, it talks about obesity in general, not about the cat, but the picture is about my cat. Okay. And one day it was raining, so I wrote a poem about raindrop. Okay. And as I mentioned just now, I shared a lot of my poems in my class. And then I used this educate play to make a practice, to do a practice with my students. This one, for example, I shared my poem. The title is Oh Allah, is praising Allah, praising God. Okay, and then I have words here where they have to listen to a poem recitation about Oh Allah, and then after they have listened, they have to fill in the blanks with the correct words. Okay. Okay, and this is the poem that I have written when I was teaching pre-com students. You know, the pre-com students, when I was teaching them grammar, so I asked them to read this poem. Okay, to encourage them to learn English. Okay, they say, susah lah madam, funny English words. Okay, so I wrote this poem and I shared with them in the class. I also asked them to recite this poem, and they really enjoyed it. Okay, so this one, some tips. Yeah, I will go quickly. Okay, this in Singapore, they have this poetry month. In April, they will have this poetry month yearly among the community. It is called Singporaimo, Singaporean writer poetry writing month. Okay, so they have this in April where they encourage people to write poetry. Okay, and when they this person Joseph Lim wrote on a Singapore newspaper on 25th April 2022, he chose one of my poem. The title of my poem is My Mama's Chicken Rice Poem. Okay, I wrote this poem because my children love my chicken rice and they always ask me to cook chicken rice every Friday. Okay, so I will straight away, these are the tips on how to write poem actually. But it is already 1 o'clock. I straight away go to the to my poem, the example that he used when teaching the community how to write poems. So he used my poem. So he said that when you want to describe a poem, okay, for example, when you want to describe food, okay, avoid providing little to no context. Okay, for example, don't write chicken rice is the best, I love it. This is too straightforward, he said. Okay, when describing your patient, okay, for example, I love to cook chicken rice, you describe your patient, be passionate. Instead of just talking about the food you love, bring your readers through the story behind your love for it. Okay, for example, like this one. You don't know how special and nice I felt about Mama's chicken and rice, but for me at the time, it was beyond price. On Friday, when Mama cooks the special chicken rice. So you don't only talk about the chicken rice, but you talk about the story behind your chicken rice. Okay, so this, because I think Singapore loves chicken rice, so that's why this journalist used one of my poems in his article. Okay, and this is a promotion. I think it is an advertisement of the spa. And surprisingly, this spa is in New York, and he used my poem. I wrote about perfect skin. The poem title is Perfect Skin, and he used my poem to advertise the spa. Okay, so let's write poetry from your soul. Okay, let's write a poetry. Just write something, be it funny, stupid, or serious. Just write. Okay, I would like to talk about the publication of poetry. Okay, I know to publish a poetry is not easy because I've been approached by several publishers, and then of course you have to pay a lot of money for the fee. Okay, and then my worry is after I paid a lot of money, and who will buy my poetry book? So that is the worry that I have. Okay, so kena invest lah kan. You have to invest if you want something. So I decided not to publish with a publishing company and with the international publishing company because it is very expensive. So I tried to look for the local company. Okay, so this is how I found a local company. So that's why I published my book here. I actually paid only 500 and he did everything for me from the book cover and everything for me. So I published one poetry book here, and so this is one poetry publication in the book. Okay, so that I have paid money for 500 ringgit. Okay, and I also sell it to people who love poetry, who ask for it. Okay, I don't advertise it. So people who know that I write and people who enjoy to write poetry will ask for the book, and I will sell it to them. Okay, and most of my poetry, hundreds of them, I shared in the websites that I trusted, like Hello Poetry, Poetry Poem, Kavishala, just now that I shared. Okay, so I think it is worthwhile to share it in those websites because people cannot just take your poem like that. They will have to ask your permission. If not, they will, because it has been copyright. I have the copyright for each of the poetry. Okay, So trusted poetry website like Hello Poetry is a trusted poetry if you want to start publishing to the website. If you want to write a book, I think it has you have to bear a lot of cost, and then like myself, I actually self-publish it. Okay, so talking about the plan that we have for today's webinar, we actually wanted to compile the poems that we have from you. If you have poems you have written and then you have never published it, or maybe you plan to write, maybe you can write it and you have to share it in the Google form, which Asni will share with you later. So you have to fill in the particular there and then submit your poem there, and then we from APB Kedah will look at those poem and we will publish it. So we are still thinking whether to publish it in a physical book. It will cost some money, but maybe as for the initial stage, initiative, maybe we can have e-poetry book. Okay, maybe you can publish it in e-poetry book, collection of poems from all of you who attended this webinar today. Okay, so if you have you are interested in joining this publication, you can go to the Google form which Asni will be sharing. Okay, and then you may want to submit your poem there. So I think that's the end of my sharing. I am so sorry that I couldn't share most of the poems that I have written. Okay, the one that I wanted to share about different culture, Holy, it's actually a very good one. Okay, but I don't have the time to share. But never mind. You can always Google Sharina Saad Hello Poetry. You can find my poetry there. Okay, so do you have any questions before we say goodbye to one another?
We do actually have one, Kak Sharina, about poem publication. When is the last due date for the submission?
Okay, so for the publication that we are organizing, is it Asni?
Yes, yes.
Okay, this is September. I think you can we can have it until the end of this month. Is it okay? End of this September.
Okay.
Okay, end of September. Is it okay, audience? Is it okay with you?
So,
I know you already have poems kept in your closet, in your notebooks, but you don't want to share it. So it's time for you to share it now.
Shy.
Okay, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Let's shine together. Let's shine together and publish it. Okay, so it will be a memory for you because you joined this webinar and you get a publication. Yay! And do you know that I have actually uploaded my book in Prime. Okay, so my ATP dapat ya.
Wow.
Yes. So creative writing is also accounted for. So jangan ingat academic writing saja. So if you have written a poetry and shared in this publication, you can also register it in Prime and you get some marks in my ATP. Okay, you write for fun and you get something in return. Okay, if we don't have any questions, I think that's about it. Maybe we can have a photo session, Asni.
yes, yes. But I do hope that you can read all the comments about your achievement lah, Kak Sharina, in the chat box. Okay.
Oh,
They're
really?
saying, yeah, they're saying you're talented, and I hope you can read it on your own. Sebab banyak lah. Okay. So do we have any questions from the members of the floor? If not, then
I think there is a question in the chat box.
ada?
Asking about the reviewing process of the poem.
Okay, okay. It is from Azlin, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Azlin asked, okay, I read. Azlin asked, where we submit a poem, will you help review and edit, especially for a newbie like me? Of course, we will do it. Of course, I will do it. Azlin, don't worry.
Perhaps, I think, Madam Sharina, you can tell them that we are going to have the editorial board for that publication.
Yes.
So everything will be reviewed and edited before it's going to be published.
Yes. So that's why in the Google form we have your email address there. You have to submit your biodata. You have to submit a photo, and after we have edited, after the team that we are going to have later, edited your poetry, we will ask your permission first before we publish it. Okay, if it is okay with you, then we will publish it. Okay, so we will edit and we'll ask your permission whether you agree or not with the addition that we have done. Okay.
Okay. All right. So anything else? If not, we have actually come to the end of our session today. So all the links I have shared in chat box, links for attendance and also links for poem publication. So thank you very much everyone, and most of all thank you Puan Sharina for such a fruitful and fun session. Okay, before we leave, let's take a picture together. Boleh tak on camera?
Of course. I